Hello and welcome back. In this video, I'm going to explain part 2 of the chapter, The Special Prize from New Images textbook of grade 6. So in our previous video, that is part 1 explanation, we went through this much and we ended here. So let us recap on what we have read so far. So there is a boy called Tapan of class 5 and he is the second son of Ratan, the clerk of Padumani village. Although rather thin, he is strong, somewhat dark and has bright eyes. He is quite good at his studies. But he is always getting into trouble. It must be admitted that he is never the first to pick a quarrel, but if anyone offends him, he gives as good as he gets. So he's popular and respected by his companions, but not by anyone else like the headmaster, because the headmaster thinks that he is very naughty, right? So already it's been 1 month since he has been back to Janpid High School, and there is already a complaint lodged against him about Harin, the shopkeeper of Padumani village. And there was another incident a few days later, and that concerned a fierce ox which was troubling the locality. So let us continue reading. The headmaster flew into a rage. Not only were the students hurt, but even the school building had suffered damage. The headmaster called Tapan again. Tapan appeared. On seeing him, the headmaster's temper boiled over. You are a wicked boy. Why did you lead the ox into the classroom? Speak up. The headmaster demanded, waving his cane. Tapan replied, head lowered. Sir, I didn't lead the ox into the classroom. I was only riding on its back to tame it, and it suddenly ran into the room. So here, Tapan, his second incident was when he tried to tame the wild Bronco ox, isn't it? But the ox crashed into the school campus and into class 8. There, the teacher Rajni Saharia managed to get out of the room and escape unhurt, but many of the students stumbled and fell. So both the teacher and the students were frightened and they scattered in all directions. So here, there was a complaint lodged against Tapan, this time by Rajni Saharia. So that's what it is about. So the headmaster calls him as a wicked boy and he asks, why did you lead the ox into the classroom? Speak up. So Tapan here replied, he didn't lead the ox into the classroom. He was only riding on its back to tame it, but it suddenly ran into the room. Tapan received 15 strokes of the headmaster's cane. His classmates again sniggered and ridiculed him. He was branded the bad boy of the school. Soon after, a notice was circulated in the school. Tapan was fined 25 rupees for the damage. He was also told that he would be expelled from school if he committed any such offense in future. A few boys who came out of their classes made faces at Tapan. That same evening, the headmaster returned home, had his tea, and went for a walk. So here, he received not only 15 strokes of the headmaster's cane, but also he had to pay 25 rupees. Now here, 25 rupees, right, is like 250 rupees now, because this was a story long before, and that time even the paisa was available, right? So 25 rupees then was like paying 250 rupees now. Okay, so let's read on. Dusk was falling and he saw the school's bad boy Tapan holding an old beggar woman's hand, carrying her begging basket on his head. So here, all his classmates began sniggering and ridiculing him, right? That means laughing at him. And he got a new name by these boys, bad boy, the bad boy of the school. So Tapan was also told that he would be expelled from school if he committed any such offense in future. But here, when the headmaster returned home, he had his tea and he went for a walk. He saw the school's bad boy, Tapan, who was holding a beggar woman's hand, carrying her begging basket on his head. Walking alongside, jeering at him, were the two boys of his class, Naren, the one who came first, and Mahesh, The old woman had fever. She could hardly walk, leave alone carry her basket. On seeing the plight of the old woman, Tapan had lifted her basket and taking the old woman's hand and said, "Granny, hold on to me, I'll walk you home." So this was a very good thing of what Tapan did. And you saw that these two boys, Naren and Mahesh, were jeering at him, thinking that doing looking after a beggar woman or a man, beggar woman or a man, looking after them was wrong. So this is why they were jeering at them. When Naren and Mahesh saw the headmaster, they saluted him and looked at Tapan with derisive smiles. Derisive means mocking or showing that you think someone is stupid. Okay. So when Naren and Mahesh saw the headmaster, they saluted him and looked at Tapan with derisive smiles, pleased that the headmaster was witnessing one of Tapan's misdeeds. So they think that this is one of his misdeed. When the headmaster questioned the old woman, she told him how Tapan had come forward to help her. Her voice trembling, she pointed to Tapan and said, Had this dear boy not been there, I would have still been lying on the road. May God shower him with blessings." The other two boys also saw how ill I was, but far from lending a hand, they only made fun of this dear boy. How heartless they are. So this beggar woman told the headmaster not how heartless they are, not to take care of her, but to make fun of this dear boy, she says, called Tapan. So she explains that if Tapan hadn't been there on time, she would have still been lying on that road. May God shower him with blessings. The old woman began panting for breath. The headmaster scolded Naren and Mahesh and sent them away. He asked Tapan to take the old woman to her home. 2 weeks later, the headmaster was returning home from his walk. On the road, he saw the same ox that Tapan had tried to tame lying with a broken leg. Kneeling beside it was Tapan, rubbing medicine on its injured leg and bandaging it. There were tears in Tapan's eyes. He was startled when the headmaster came and stood near him. So here, this is the same ox that Tapan was trying to tame before, and that was a very wild ox, right? So here, the same ox was lying with a broken leg, and there were tears in Tapan's eyes, and he was also rubbing medicine on its injured leg. When the headmaster came and stood near him, he greeted the headmaster with folded hands. The headmaster asked, "What are you doing here, Tapan?" "Sir, some wicked boys have broken the ox's leg. It is in great pain." "Sir, is it not wrong to hurt animals?" Tapan asked sadly. "Didn't you ride the same ox the other day, saying that it was wicked and needed to be tamed? How come it has become so good today?" "Well, sir, it was wicked, but since the day I rode it, it has become tame. It has not only stopped attacking people, but even makes way for them. The boys shouldn't have hurt it. It is in agony. I chewed some medicinal leaves and dressed the injured leg with the pulp. I have heard father say that it is very good for injuries, sir," Tapan said, his heart full of sympathy for the ox and his eyes brimming with tears. So here the headmaster asks, "Didn't you ride the same ox the other day, saying that it was wicked and needs to be tamed?" So Tapan, yes, Tapan did call this ox wicked, right? And Tapan also said it needs to be tamed. But the headmaster asks, "How come it has become so good today?" So Tapan explains, "Since that day when I rode it, it has automatically become tame because of Tapan. It has not only stopped attacking people, but even makes way for them. But there are few boys that hurt it even after it became tame." Now Tapan explains that the ox is in agony. So Tapan chewed some medicinal leaves, and because he heard his father say that it is very good for injuries. Let's read on. The headmaster stood engrossed in thoughts. Then he looked at Tapan's face and affectionately patted him. It was prize giving day at Janalpeeth High School. The principal of a college in Guwahati had been invited to preside over the function. This time, the headmaster, Rabin Barua, had decided to award a special prize for the student with the best character. Students were discussing the special prize. In class 5, Naren laughed and said loudly to Babish, "Do you know, Babish, the special prize for the best character has been awarded to Tapan?" The boys roared with laughter. So here it was prize giving day, and a, a principal of a college in Guwahati had been invited to preside over the function. So here, in this year, the headmaster decided to award a special prize for the student with the best character. In class 5, Naren decided to make a joke and say that since they all called upon the bad boy, right? So he made a joke saying, "Do you know, Babish, the special prize for the best character has been awarded to Tapan." So the boys knew that is impossible and they roared with laughter. Tapan's face grew red with shame. He wished the ground would swallow him up. The function started. After the welcome, the principal delivered his speech, and a few others also spoke. Next came the distribution of prizes. The prize winners glowed with pleasure and pride. Then came the time for the announcement of the special prize. Addressing the assembly, the headmaster announced, "Honorable principal and respected ladies and gentlemen, the special prize for the student with the best character goes to Sriman Tapan Hazarika of class 5. So here you notice that what Naren said became true, right? Because they thought it is impossible, but it became possible. The teachers and the students were dumbfounded. Dumbfounded is like speechless. Tapan could not believe his ears. The headmaster repeated, "Tapan Kumar Hazarika, class 5. His head reeled. Reeled is to become confused or dizzy. Could it be true that he, who was known as the bad boy of the school, was being called to receive the prize for the best character? Tapan stood up, went to the principal, greeted him with a namaskar, and accepted the prize. The headmaster then described how Tapan had helped the old beggar woman and nursed the injured ox. He also gave Tapan 5 rupees from his own pocket. Now, 5 you can consider it as 50 at this time, right? The hall was filled with the sound of people's applause. Tapan's eyes glistened with tears of joy. So it's a lovely story, isn't it? When the bad boy of the school called Tapan receives the special prize of the best character. Now, there are few questions. There are 5 multiple choice questions which are there in your textbook, which you can go through in the new images textbook. If not, you can also do it from here, no problem. So please solve this if you have understood this story. And I do hope you have watched part 1 of this video. If you want to know the chapter explanation of part 1 of this chapter. Thank you. See you soon.